So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us give our previews for the current NHL season that's underway. And thank you again very much, everyone who phoned in to the first ever radio edition of Eazy Conversations. Won't be the last time, but yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who called in. So now for episode 169 of Eazy Conversations, I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day right now. Eric, I had a lot of fun on the last episode, and I think today's will be really great too. It's baseball and hockey time right now, but we also have Halloween coming up right around the corner. And Eric, why don't you let the listeners know what we're going to be discussing right now?
So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Halloween, Matt, because there actually was something I wanted to get into before we... So for this episode, we're going to get into some horror movies, and those are the seasonally correct flicks to be taking in at this time. So a lot of recommendations for you all coming up. But first, I want to get into how kids these days, I feel like, are just getting absolutely gypped when it comes to the quantity of candy and chocolate contained in the inside of the wrappers. So we just bought a few batches of candy, 50 packs, 95 packs, 100. They all come in these weird quantities to begin with, to give out to the kids, you know? And Andy showed me this Snickers bar that I simply have to show the viewers on YouTube the size of this thing. Like, this is an absolute nub of a Snickers bar that my cat is trying to get into right now. Not good for her. But look at this. This is an absolute travesty. And I'm disgusted that I'm going to have to sit here in my Spider-Man onesie in a few days from now, at the time of this dropping, and give this out to kids. I'm embarrassed that this is going to be handed out. Alas. And then even the other one I have on hand is this Skittles pack, which is 90% border on here. Like this is thinflation, I believe, is the... So if you're tuning in on YouTube, unfortunately, I forgot to record at the start. You missed maybe, 2-3 minutes. No big deal. You can check out the audio version to hear what we're talking about. But you haven't missed any of the movies that we're going to recommend for this episode. So, yeah, let's just get into it. In the last few weeks, I've been watching a few horror movies myself. Matt, I'm not sure if you've been following my activity on Letterboxd. It's been lacking because I have not been logging the movies that I've watched to surprise you on here. Because I feel like I come on these pods and you already know every time what I'm going to talk about, and it's kind of the same with me. So I'm going with an element of surprise here, where I do have some movies stashed in the bag, full-size treats to talk about here. So
Oh, shit.
the first one I want to talk about is the first one I've watched, like, to start off the horror movie bender, I guess. And I actually posted a story about it on Insta, which is The Shining. So I rewatched that for the first time in years. Like, I watched this movie when I was, I think, first year university the first time. And I remember being at a friend's house for this. We were like, I don't know, if we're maybe drinking a little bit and just having a good time. And then one of the guys was like, hey, like, let's watch The Shining. And I remember I'm probably like 18, 19 at this point. I did not want to watch the movie. Even though, like, I'm past the age of being afraid of movies, I still wasn't down. And I was like, all right, like, everyone wants to watch it, let's throw it on. And I remember at the time really enjoying it. Even though I was a bit on edge, like, I didn't know what was coming, I remember thinking, like, this was just a good movie. Mm-hmm. Big fan. So now fast forward, 10, 12 years later, I loved this movie. Like, absolute masterpiece in terms of put together, build up, the set itself, like the Overbrook Hotel where everything takes place, where Jack Nicholson takes over as, if you haven't seen the movie, he takes care of this hotel as the hotel manager during off season, basically. So there are no visitors. They're in like deep Denver, in the mountains, basically, this old hotel, and you kind of get the sense that it's haunted. There's a lot of stuff going on. The son is kind of like talking to the voice in the person inside his mouth. Forget the guy's name there, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And the sense of dread that you have the whole time, where there's a lot of things happening where you're not sure, like, are these people seeing ghosts? Is what we're seeing on the screen real, or is it all in their head? And that's kind of a theme that's pervasive through all of horror movies, or a lot of them that I watched recently anyways, where you're always questioning, like, is what's happening right now real, or is it like a dream-like state that they're in?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a
Mm-hmm.
consistent theme, I feel like, across a lot of horror movies. Some do it better than others, and I'll get into that in some of the movies I watch later. But this
Okay.
one nailed it. A lot of creepy scenes. You got the obviously like the elevator doors, the blood,
Mm-hmm.
here's Johnny. Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
masterclass in acting, in my opinion. Like, just all-time psychotic breakdown. Like, his descent into madness was perfectly done. In the end, too, like, it leaves you with more questions than answers, where, like, is... I don't even know what's real, really, at the end of the day. Like, it is a thinker. So, opening thoughts, a bit all over the place, kind of like the movie, but overall, I think this is one of the best horror movies ever made. That was the question I posed. It was kind of 50-50 down the middle. People said, yes, it is. Others said no. But no one gave an example for a movie that opposes this as best horror movie ever. But I think this is a legit claim to that. So what is your take on The Shining, Matt?
I'm 100% with you, Eric. I love The Shining, guys. I objectively think it's one of the greatest horror movies of all time, like top 5. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, who's one of the greatest directors of all time. It looks beautiful. From that opening, like, helicopter shot over, like, the forest and the mountains, and that score, and then driving to the Overlook Hotel is iconic from there. Like, you're in for a treat. The shots in The Shining have been duplicated so many times. Like, there's a lot of, like, still shots and then zooming in on characters' faces with nothing moving. You see that all the time in movies now. Like, just the tracking shots. There's a shot of Shelley Duvall, the wife, coming up the stairs with an axe that's iconic, like on the staircase. Brilliant. This movie has really iconic lines, like you mentioned. Stanley Kubrick made the actors rehearse like crazy, which is why, like, Shelley Duvall, she's not really acting at the end when she's, like, running away from her husband. It's like she's freaking hysterical in real life at that point.
Wow.
Kind of a brutal tactic, but, like, it works for the film and the final product. The twins, like, terrifying. Like, that's another iconic moment. Yeah, you mentioned the blood in the elevator. Absolutely. I remember renting this movie, guys, at Blockbuster when I was, like, 15. And Eric, you said you were 18 and mildly creeped out. Like, my dad was maybe, like, it was in his 40s when he watched this with me, and he was the one that was creeped out, not me, and I just devoured it, and it's still effective to this day. Famously hated by Stephen King, who wrote the novel. He called it, like, a Ferrari or a Cadillac with no engine, like a beautiful-looking thing with no soul, because Kubrick missed the whole point of the book, apparently. But I think this is one of these cases where maybe the movie is even greater than the source material. It does change a lot, which is why maybe the author hates it. But and definitely a supernatural element. That's what The Shining is in the movie. It's our young character's ability, they call it. So, Eric, it's also a movie you rewatch like 10 times and you'll notice things all the time. There's a famous documentary, a horror documentary called Room 237, which is another iconic scene in the movie. That goes into detail on every little, like, background thing in the movie and what it represents. And, oh, this painting means this shot means this. Like, the whole documentary is about that. It's almost like finding coincidences out of nowhere and trying to make it work, some of it, but there's a lot of cool stuff explaining how brilliant the movie is. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you love this movie, because I think it's perfect too. Like, objectively, like, you can't fault it. Yeah, great first pick. Did you have anything else on the movie, or do you want me to jump into my first movie?
I'll just say quickly, like, another plus for me is that the movie feels lived in, and that's I feel like something that applies to a lot of older movies where everything's like on sets that were built, and you feel like the actors are all there. The environment is a contributing factor to creating that great atmosphere that is presented on screen for us. Like, we feel like we're in the maze with these characters as they're running through. Even just Danny, or the kid, biking through the hotel on his little mini kid bike. Like, it just feels like he actually was going through all those different floors and levels, really, to go through the hotel. Like, it's a true set that they're on and not green screen, and that's a big plus for this movie, and another one that I'll talk about as well.
Yeah, the hotel is a character in this movie, 100%. It's got a presence, iconic. Yeah, this is a great way to start off. I'm going to start off too with the Stephen King adaptation. I watched the 1990 movie Misery, starring James Caan and Kathy Bates. Phenomenal horror movie, in my opinion. It's about James Caan playing a writer, Paul Sheldon, who is trapped in a blizzard, flips his Mustang over in the snow, gets rescued by Kathy Bates' character called Annie Wilkes. He wakes up in her bed. His legs are basically broken. He's like woozy. She's like, hey, listen, before I drive you out to the hospital or so, or you're going to stay in this bed, you're going to recuperate. I'm a nurse. Phones are down right now. We can't contact anybody. People think he's missing, but he's at her house. It's a two-person act type of movie, like a play, lots of dialogue. Basically, Paul's character, Paul is creepily, slowly realizing that he's like, hey, like, is she telling me the truth? Are the phones truly down? Why am I not moving? How am I not healing this fast? He's basically realizing that he's trapped, and he finds out his number one fan and kind of obsessed with his books, which are these like cheesy romance novels starring main character of Misery. And she's obsessed with these books, and she's like slowly showing her true colors the more we find out. And I don't want to reveal too much about this movie in the second act, but it's a great tense psychological thriller of a horror movie in the sense that it's like verbal wordplay and then like it gets into the horror genre. This movie's anchored by the two main stars. They're great performances. James Caan's always great. We've talked about him before on the pod. We're big James Caan guys. This is a performance. He's in the bed half the movie just talking and his facial expressions. But the star really is Kathy Bates, who actually won an Oscar for this movie. As Annie Wilkes, she's amazing, Eric. Like creepy, funny. The last time I watched it, like when I watched it the last time, I took it more like I found a lot of humor in it, like darkly funny, but it's creepy at the end of the day. You know, stalker-ish, stalker vibes. I thought this movie ripped by. I watched it with Mackenzie. She had never seen it. She doesn't watch any horror movies, so I'm trying to slowly sneak them in there and get her into that genre. And she really liked it. She wasn't bored. She was captivated. Movies directed by Rob Reiner, who's directed classics like The Princess Bride and Stand By Me. Like, he's a very competent guy. This movie, superbly made, a 90s horror classic, in my opinion. Another great Stephen King work done right on the big screen, so on the silver screen. So, yeah, nice. Misery.
So you could almost say that Kathy Bates was a con artist herself then. Now, this definitely does sound interesting. Like, I had obviously heard of Misery. I think my mom had recommended it or had talked about it as like a classic Kathy Bates and James Caan movie because we were talking about James Caan. But no, I didn't really know much about it. But this sounds super interesting and kind of like the kind of horror movie that I would gravitate towards, where there is that thriller. Maybe doesn't sound like there's a supernatural element. Really, it's just like what is this woman gonna do to the guy who's like held almost hostage here? Interesting dynamic being formed. You describing it reminded me of a few movies. Like I'm just thinking movies with like a contained plot and very few characters, kind of like Fresh with Sebastian Stan and forget the girl's name there, but the up and coming actress, or Sanctuary, the movie with Margaret Qualley and the guy. Yes. Now I don't know his name, but that kind of vibe where there's a power dynamic established with only a few characters and they're not on the same page or everything isn't as it seems to be. So those are two movies that I had enjoyed and I could see myself really being into Misery. So that sounds like I said, right up my alley. Gonna be looking for this one for sure. Add it to the list. Right on.
Yeah, it's a must-see, Eric. It's a must-see.
Okay, yeah. Nice. So I'll go again with another oldie, similar vein in a sense to The Shining, where I'd seen this movie a while back, but back in the day I remember being completely underwhelmed by it. Didn't live up to the hype, probably because at the time I couldn't appreciate what it was for its time and thought that it looked dated when I watched it, but now seeing it again probably 10 years after the fact, the 50-year-old Jaws has
Mm.
completely lived up to the hype and looks better than ever, in my opinion, honestly. Of course, I've seen a remastered version of it, but it still looks like an old movie. And you can tell, again, it's all practical. You don't really need me to explain the plot of Jaws, shark attacks on the beach, hunt for killer megalodon. We know the story. So good, though. I did not realize that, is it Richard Dreyfuss is in this movie? Hilarious as one of the characters and part of the ragtag crew. Then you got the two other mains. I don't know their names, the actors there, but great dynamics there. There's that obviously the horror and mystery element of like when is the shark gonna pop up? That's the big thing with me where you don't really know who's safe and who's gonna get clipped. And it's kind of that suspense with the shark coming. Like even the shark just popping up, like going over water for some air, it doesn't do anything. Just it like coming on the screen makes you start a little bit. And I feel like that again, the suspense building is masterful by Steven Spielberg in his direction. And just when they're battling with the shark in the water, they're obviously in the water and the boat has been collapsed now and there's pieces of driftwood floating about. Like it just feels like a real set and they're fighting with this animatronic beast in the water and it just yeah, okay, does it look a little dated at times? Sure, but it also looks really cool and then gnarly at times too. So, honestly, if you've never seen Jaws or have when you were younger, like me, expected it to be a little better, rerun it for sure because I thought it looked spectacular. The score is incredible. John Williams, always a highlight. And I
Oh
just
yeah.
feel like the cinematography too, it looks great. The shots of the ocean at night, the blues are popping, the silver moon shining. Really good stuff. Pretty funny too, had its moments. I think Richard Dreyfuss was definitely bringing a lot of the humor there as well. But yeah, really good stuff. Jaws. I think it's a movie now I'm going to look to rewatch maybe every 2 years, every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
And I'm certainly due for a rewatch of this classic, Eric. For classic after classic, I'm loving 2 for 2, Eric. Like 5 out of 5 so far. 5 stars. I mean, Jaws for me is it's horror, and then it becomes like it's a lot of genres melted in one, which is a lot of great movies are. This movie launched the legendary career of Steven Spielberg. Like a movie that kept everyone out of the water apparently after that summer in '75, and to this day some people are still afraid of the water. The characters are awesome. The little town they're in, really cool. Like it's like a cool setting, summer vibes. Quint, the shark hunter's character played by Robert Shaw, I believe, he's great. Like good lines, like the scene where he's telling when they're on the boat at the end, and he's telling the Indianapolis story. You know, going in the water with the sharks and getting his scars, iconic. Even, I mean, Jaws is so old, but one of the main characters' death, I'll say not to spoil, like it's still impactful to this day. I remember like when he dies, it's very like it's well done. The iconic lines too, right? We're gonna need a bigger boat. The end, like the almost the last line of the movie is cool too. I like the whole dynamic. Like, I don't want to shut the beach down at the beginning too fast because it's like super touristy, but it's like more deaths are happening. Then the opening scene of the movie is like a slasher film. Like, you know, teenagers go in the water, death happens. It's like, that's iconic to me. Yeah, I don't rewatch this movie enough, actually. I'm definitely due for a rewatch, probably in the summer. No, I'm glad you loved it, Eric, because I think it gets better every time I watch it, too. So that's awesome. Great pick.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go with some really old ones right now, or a really old movie. This movie's almost 100 years old, and this is continuing me getting my girlfriend into horror films journey. And you know what she told me, a stipulation. She's like, hey, if we're watching older movies, I'm more incentivized to watch them. Anything before 1970, she said, which I've already broke that rule with Misery. So, you know, rules are meant to be broken. But this one we watched was the original Frankenstein movie from 31, I believe, 1931. Also, there's a Frankenstein movie coming out soon, Guillermo del Toro, so it's kind of like prep for that. He loves the original, this movie. it's a short. It's not going to be a long review because this movie is like an hour and 10 minutes. Everybody knows Frankenstein. Frankenstein's actually the doctor, the scientist who creates this monster. You know, using cadaver parts and an abnormal brain, and it's kind of a tragic story, honestly. You're watching this movie. This movie is like feels very old. The sets look old, low budget. There's not really a big score or anything. It does rip by because the running time's short. But then once the Frankenstein's monster emerges, which that's the most iconic scene in the movie when he reanimates the corpse into the monster and he's yelling, "It's alive!" Like that little setting right there has been inspiring. Inspired a lot of other movies and created a genre basically. Bad scientists and all that stuff. Once the monster's alive and he's doing his thing, it's very sad because he's misunderstood. He's not truly evil, but people right away judge him. And then something bad happens in the movie and then people turn on him right away. It was all just a misunderstanding and an error. I know this whole movie is an allegory for how people view outsiders and stuff like that. Anyways, there's a deep message in it. But this is done in like a 70-minute rips by type of movie with cool sets. I'm gonna say like the castle where he has all his science lab and stuff is cool. Slight downtime issues with when they go back to like Frankenstein's wife and father and stuff at their house, where you just want to get back to the action with Frankenstein's monster and the doctor trying to stop him. Really, really fun movie to watch, Eric, in the sense that it's like the blueprint for a lot of future horror movies, and it's the start of like the universal monster genre, and imitated 1,000 times. And Frankenstein's been done 1,000,000 times after that, so it's cool to see like the origins of these horror movies that we love. So Frankenstein, I recommend it for everybody.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I've never seen it. I've never seen a full Frankenstein movie. I don't think. Maybe like as a substitute teacher, wheeled the TV into a class at the time. But I also have the book by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in the library over there. I haven't read it either, but I should read the book. Then yeah, watch the OG, and I am definitely looking forward to the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, which I think is out like this weekend or next weekend. But
Yeah.
that's definitely gonna be something I'll be checking out for sure. Well, no, right on, Matt. Love to hear that you're getting Mackenzie on that journey, and hey, it just so happens to be with someone who has all these old movies that are pre 1970, difficult to find anywhere but your own collection. So that's awesome. My movie is actually past 1970, but still maybe on that cusp where we're in the 80s here. We're talking John Carpenter. We're talking The Fog. So this is something that's actually streaming on Prime Video right now, which I watched. And you know what? So this is like we're coming off 2 like 5 out of 5 movies here. We're not going to keep that same momentum going here. I thought The Fog had its moments for sure. So essentially, we're following characters who are living in a California coastal town. And the main character is a woman called Stevie Wayne, and she works as a radio host in a lighthouse, which is a pretty cool character to have, where she's working the graveyard shift, playing tunes for various truckers or bartenders or what have you who just want to jam out to some vibes late night. So she's playing music there and kind of talking to her people. And then she notices this eerie glowing fog on the coast that's moving towards the township, and there's these crazy things that start to happen. Objects start kind of coming to life. There are murders that happen. Kind of goes from there, and I was intrigued. There's that element of mystery the whole time, like who are these people or what's responsible for the murders, what's the lore and origin of it all. That all gets explained. For some reason, I just feel like it stayed at like a consistent level of goodness, but never peaked that high for me. Maybe Matt, you can like tell me I'm wrong or share your take, but for me it stayed steady the whole time. By no means this not good, but it's not excellent also in my opinion. So there Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie too, so I think probably back-to-back John Carpenter movies for her. Like she's in the Halloween movie and he's the one who directed Halloween. So yeah, I mean there's classic archetype of like the stoic man in there, the rebellious girl in Jamie Lee Curtis, and then but I was a big fan of Stevie Wayne. So she's played by Adrienne Barbeau, who kind of looked familiar, but I don't think I've seen her in anything. Anyway, so The Fog would be my next recommendation. Solid movie, but not classic. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, Eric. I love I really like The Fog. I've seen it many times, but it's definitely not A grade John Carpenter. It's like B plus at best. You know, it's the second tier of his filmography. This movie to me oozes atmosphere, and it's all about like the mood you're feeling, that the movie's making you feel, and the atmosphere, like I just said. Light on the story. It's got like a little folklore element where they tell like the story of these dead pirates that were wronged, or not pirates, but sailors that were wrong, and there's like an undead zombie thing going on too. And at the end, like near the climax, when the fog rolls in and they emerge, like that was really cool. That's like a highlight. Maybe a little slow to get there, and you're meeting like the township's characters and hanging out with them, including Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like hitchhiking maybe at the beginning, I think, meeting one of our main characters like that.
Nick.
It's definitely 80 cheese. There's some 80s cheesiness a little bit and hokiness, but at the end of the day, the atmosphere and the score wins out. Like John Carpenter, he did the score himself. That's cool. That I remember. And then you find out like what happened and why these undead beings were wronged. And I don't know. It's very simple, but I think it's definitely worth watching at least once, just for its atmosphere and mood and feel. So no, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Eric. It's a must-see John Carpenter if you want to be like a completist or even get into his top stuff. Definitely one of those. He's done a lot. It's all downhill for Carpenter, like honestly, after the 80s, in my opinion, Eric. So glad you enjoyed that one.
Another plus, I'll say, you're right. Like the lore and the pirates or the lepers, really, who were wronged.
Right.
Their story is very sad, and there is an element of poetic justice to it without giving too much away. But that was interesting for sure. Like the origin of the fog and everything, it was cool. And everything does resolve itself pretty well. And another plus for this movie is that it's, like a lot of horror movies, which I'm enjoying, 90 minutes or less. You know, they're not overextending their welcome, and they're wrapping the story up well. So that's what made it easy for me to watch a few of these movies, is that I just needed an hour and a half here and there. And if you just want a good, quick horror movie, throw The Fog on. I don't think you'll be disappointed. So that'd be my way to wrap The Fog up and shed some light, perhaps, on other movies.
Well said. I'm going to go... I'm not going to talk about these in depth, but I'll just shout out the original Dracula and then Bride of Frankenstein. I watched those after Frankenstein. Same thing as Frankenstein. Short, sweet, to the point. Mackenzie enjoyed both of those too. The one I'm going to talk about has a connection to The Fog, so this is why I'm bringing this one up right now. This is an 80s one as well, from 1986. So this movie is called Night of the Creeps. The reason I bring it up is one of our main characters is played by the actor who played Nick in The Fog, Tom Atkins. He's the detective in this movie, who's great. But Night of the Creeps is about two college... there are two guys entering college. You know, they're kind of looking for a frat house. And we find out that in the 50s, a meteorite crashed with a parasite. And that's how the movie opens up. And then it starts with our main characters 30 years later. And this parasite gets awoken because they do a frat prank that they're like, if they want to enter the frat, they have to do this prank where they break into this like science cryo lab type thing and defrost this body that the parasite had burned itself in the 50s. I know that sounds ridiculous, but this movie is ridiculously fun and actually has a really good dialogue. Our two main characters are great dynamic together. One of the main characters plays Rusty in one of the vacation movies, European Vacation, I believe, with Chevy Chase. Anyways, super random tangent, but this movie is all about the gore effects and the dialogue and witty horror and then comedy blended together. You kind of get like a college life movie and then a creature feature where this parasite will bury into your brain and then you'll become almost a zombie. It's essentially maybe a zombie movie at the end of the day, actually, infected movie. But our main character, the detective, played by Tom Atkins, who was in The Fog. He's hilarious. Like, he no patience for people. He's trying to investigate these deaths and gruesome murders because the girls at a sorority start getting picked off, and it turns into, this also is a really tight movie in terms of running time and moves along at a fast pace. And at the end, there's some cool action with like a flamethrower and like a siege in in the sorority with the zombies coming. It's a little all over the place, I'll admit it, but this movie symbolizes and is a great example of the 80s golden era of horror movies in the sense of special effects, the look of them. Sometimes there's cheesy moments, but like that's what the 80s horror movie represents basically. It's a great example of like a fun little horror movie that not many people talk about, but is like a gem in the fields of thousands of 80s horror. Night of the Creeps from 86, really, really fun movie. I've seen this movie like 10 times. Like, it's a movie I can watch every year because witty dialogue and just fun splatter action. So Night of the Creeps, recommended highly.
Okay, good. I mean, and I feel like that's a way to get buy-in on some of those maybe older horror movies that the perhaps makeup or practical effects or whatever don't look that great anymore, but were revolutionary at the time. You offset that with some good humor, you'll keep people coming back. And especially if you really can't get past like, wow, this looks so dated, like this isn't scary. If you're getting some laughs in there, at least it is something, hey, I'll throw this back on. I know I'm going to be entertained at the very least, and maybe won't be as scared as some maybe newer stuff or older classics or whatnot. I feel like that's a plus for some of the horror movies, and there are some that I actually had started watching and just couldn't finish because I thought it looked absurd. And I'll throw this one out there before I get into my next movie. This is cited as a classic. I was like 10, 15 minutes in, just could not watch this movie. Evil Dead 2 just was not about. I was like, this is insanely stupid. I'm not wasting my time with this. Like, you know how the movie opens too. It's like there's stuff happening all over the place. The characters flying, coming back. The effects look bad. I'm like, I don't care if people say this is good. I don't want to stick around to find out. So maybe you can talk about Evil Dead 2 and tell me I should have stuck it out, but I just was not in the mood, and I'm glad I stopped watching. Do you want to comment on Evil Dead before I get in my next movie?
Yeah, just quickly.
Okay.
Probably did a disservice watching 2 instead of 1 because it's really weird, Eric. Evil Dead 2 almost remakes the first movie, but it's kind of a sequel at the same time. It's extremely weird, and the beginning of Evil Dead 2 is super jarring if you haven't seen the first one, because it kind of transitions from the first one, but remakes the same movie at the same time. It's very weird. So I could see you being like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, I'm not an Evil Dead, like, lover like a lot of horror fans are. Like, I enjoy all the Evil Dead, like the whole franchise, but I'm not one of them like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10 on this movie. I've only seen it like twice, Eric, so I'm not disagreeing with you, honestly.
So again, I'm gonna go to a movie that's probably in the same time range. Maybe Evil Dead 2 is a little older, but I watched a 1981 movie that would fit the bill for exactly the movie you just talked about, where it is, I think it actually won an award for best makeup or costume designer, and was very funny. An American Werewolf in London from 1981. Nice. So this was also kind of like a could be like a stoner comedy, if you will, where you got these two Americans who are backpacking across Europe. They start off in the countryside of England, and they get there late at night, stop at this pub, and then kind of get a creepy vibe around the town where there's these candles lit around a star that's kind of meant to ward off evil, and they just get an eerie feeling about the customers in the pub, and they eventually leave. And I mean, it's in the title. This happens like first 10 minutes of the movie. They get attacked by a werewolf. So what happens from that moment on is there's an American werewolf in London. So one of the characters becomes a werewolf, and his experience from that moment on was a journey, quite funny. And again, it uses that theme that I talked about earlier, where he's having these visions, these dreams. He's not really sure if what he's seeing is real or not. He's seeing his dead friend. He's conversing with the dead. So just that in itself was very funny and led for some hilarious hijinks. The conversations with the dead, him grappling with the fact that he's now a werewolf. Like, there are a few moments where I like laughed out loud where he's with this girl and she's telling him to calm down. He's like, how can I calm down? I'm a fucking werewolf, for Christ's sake. It was hilarious. A lot of stuff like that was really funny. So this is for sure the funniest horror movie I watched, and yeah, it definitely looked dated at times, like the kills. The werewolf itself even looked a little more just wolf than werewolf. But I will highlight the transformation scene was very good, and at the time, like, that must have been mind blowing to watch as a viewer. Like, him becoming the werewolf was different than what I've seen in other movies and shows where there's a werewolf component, but really cool. And yeah, like, again, 1981, gotta tip your hat to what they were able to pull off for the time. So yeah, An American Werewolf in London. It's on Prime Video, I believe. Would recommend for sure. Was a fun ride.
Very happy you enjoyed this movie, Eric. It's one of my favorite werewolf. It might be the best werewolf movie ever made, honestly. Highlighted by that transformation sequence that literally won the Oscar. Rick Baker, I believe. No CGI, like shot by shot, like a werewolf transformation. Wow. You know, amazing. Like it's iconic, and they tried to. Never bested, honestly, in my opinion. It doesn't get better than this movie from like freaking over 40 years ago. They've never done better than this, and it's amazing. Like, the movie is also funny. I agree. The director, John Landis, he directs comedies. He directed a horror movie, this one, and it is funny. When he's conversing with his buddy, there's some gnarly special effects there, I remember. Oh, yeah. Kind of like out of nowhere, we're like, holy shit. Like, it could be a little scary if you're watching it when you're younger. I really like the setting. I remember the ending, like, you're seeing, now that I've been to London, you're seeing the famous areas, right? Like, downtown London.
Piccadilly Circus.
That's cool. That's right. There's a funny scene in a phone booth, right? Isn't he wearing like a bathrobe or something, or a woman's dress or something? And he's saying, and he's talking to his sister, and he's trying to talk to his parents, I think. Yeah. I don't know. I just remember stuff like that. It's funny and horrific. Cool atmosphere too at the beginning in that like little inn in the countryside. The Slaughtered Lamb, maybe it's called. I don't know.
That's exactly what it's called.
Yeah. Because that might have been a trivia question, right? For the horror, maybe one year that you. God, I don't know. It rings a bell.
Maybe.
I don't know. Not. Maybe not. I don't know.
That's a crazy question, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, Eric.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I liked it that you didn't log these, honestly.
That's exactly why.
My surprise is more. Yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah.
Listen, I could talk about a movie. I'm gonna put people out of their comfort zones. We're talking about more lesser known stuff. We're gonna go to Italy for this one. Now, just a quick lesson, or quick history. Italy, to me, is one of the best countries to produce horror movies, and one of the reasons why is in the 50s and 60s, they had a movement in their books where they had a lot of these whodunit and thrillers come out, like on these, like film noir, not film noir, but like detective pulp novels that were all these whodunits, and they were called giallos for their yellow paperback look. And these are all whodunits, but with like more of an aggressive like flair with kills and hard-boiled characters. And all these novels inspired all these great Italian movies from the 60s and 70s and 80s. Mostly the 70s was the golden era of giallo movie. It is its own genre in Italy. So these are thrillers these are police procedural movies with a whodunit atmosphere, but what puts them into the horror genre, these movies, is the insane kills and gore effects and absurdness of them sometimes. Now, the one I'm going to talk about the movie is called Tenebrae from 1982. It's directed by one of the greatest horror directors of all time, coming from Italy, Dario Argento. This is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So it's a whodunit at the end of the day. It's an author arrives in Rome only to find out that there's a murder that's happened that's recreated. This main character is an author. The murderer recreated a scene from one of his novels that just came out for his first kill. So right away, the cops are on him. They're like, "Hey, do you know anything about this?" You're giving him a bit of details about the case, and then more murders start happening in the movie, and we're following the author, our main character, who's a known author in that world, and we go from there. A bit of flashbacks to explain like the killer's motivation. But again, the highlights of this movie are these insane kills that are atmospheric, have a crazy good score, and the way the movie is shot is beautiful. Dario Argento is definitely a style over substance guy. Like these movies, the substance is what it is, but it's all about the camera work, the kills, the atmosphere, the insane soundtrack, the blood splatter everywhere, but not excessive. This is a good example. If you want to get into the genre, the giallo genre, there's hundreds of them out there, and most of them are on Tubi, actually. There's probably a category, giallo or Italian thrillers. This movie might be on there. I haven't checked, but this is a good gateway into the genre where it's simple, cheesy, but cool, atmospheric action and fun. Really good climax, too, which is why this is probably my favorite giallo and movie by Dario Argento. Definitely, this movie will put you out of your comfort zone, though. All Italian movies back then were not shot with sound, so they added all the sound, all the dialogue in the movie's ADR. So, like, even though it's the actor's voice, it feels kind of funny at the end of the day. It's like he had to record over his own mouth and, like, imitate that. And also, some of these actors don't speak English, so they've had to have a different voice for that character. So it is jarring at first, but you get used to it, in my opinion. All Italian movies were like that at the time. Kind of like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and the Sergio Leone movies, where sometimes,
I was just gonna say, like, it reminds me of those Western movies. So I feel like giallos were made for me.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely, you have to be in the mood and get into it, Eric. It's not for beginners in the sense but you've seen so many horror movies now, Eric. Like you'll be fine yourself, but just anyone like who's going in blindly, it is jarring at first. But Tenebrae, to me, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a great horror movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've only heard. I think you've talked about it on the pod at a time, or I've seen you log it in Letterboxd. But I've also heard of this movie from people who I follow for their movie insights as well, and I think this is a very well-renowned or critically acclaimed movie. So on the list for sure. Gonna have to check it out, and yeah, I don't think I'll have a problem following this along, and like that won't bother me. If anything, I kind of like it when the audio is off. It looks a little off for some reason. It's that old school flair that I find appealing for some reason. So no, that definitely sounds like something I would enjoy. I have to fire up the Tubi subscription and get into some giallos. So that's awesome. I've, like you said, style over substance, so that could be applicable for I just have two more movies to talk about, but I'll save my last one because it was my favorite one other than Shining and Jaws. So I'll go with the other one and then get the style over substance ones after. So this one is another 80s classic that I was a bit all over the place on. At times I was into it. Other times I was like so down on, where like the rating that I'm gonna log all my movies later. I was as low as a 2 for this movie.
Oh,
but as I believe a wise man once said, a powerful ending can completely shift your perception on a movie and redeem it. So for me, this would be Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, where I had a hard time with this movie in that. Freddy Krueger, I got high expectations here. Like, this is an iconic villain. I'm expecting it to be very scary, maybe graphic, have a thriller suspense element to it. it didn't really have that. He would just pop up, and I found the musical choices were a bit strange. Like it kind of had like a Clockwork Orange kind of vibe, where it's this trippy like these synths coming along. Where I felt like it should have had more of like a atmospheric eerie vibe. Maybe this all works in favor of it to show that these are dreamlike states that the characters are in. So that's where I'm kind of still wrapping my head around how I feel about this movie, which could be seen as a good sign for the movie, right? Basically, it's these teenagers all see Freddy Krueger in their dreams, and then they conspire to kind of, then he starts killing some of them. So they kind of try to figure out how are we going to stop him from killing us in our sleep, and then in real life also, they try to trap him. The attempts don't work. And then that's where the theme I identified earlier really comes into play, where you're not really sure ever if the characters are awake or if they're dreaming. And this is why I'm still high on this movie in the end. Down to the finish line, you're not sure what's real and what's not, and how they wrap the movie up. It's an old movie. If you don't want to hear anything, maybe skip a few minutes there, but when it was the dream within a dream, that's how I'm interpreting it anyways, is that there are layers to the dream. She wakes up, they kind of trap him, he gets away, and then she's awake saying, like, I know you now, like, I know how to get to you, you don't scare me. And then at the end, she's with her mom, all her friends are alive.
Yeah.
But that was a dream itself, like, they are actually in the dream. That was, for me, very powerful ending, and solidify that, okay, this was good, in fact, because I thought that they were up in the end, and then her and her dad go in her mom's room, and the mom just gets sucked into the bed, and no one's really freaking out. I was like, all right, is this real or is it not?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it definitely was kind of a mind F, but overall, they landed it on the finish for me. Pretty good movie overall, but I don't think this is like a classic though. I don't know what your thoughts on Nightmare on Elm Street, Matt, but that's my take on it.
All right, I was not expecting to be talking about this movie today, so I'll try to keep it short. I really loved what you said, Eric. I kind of felt the same way watching it for the first time. The problem with talking about Nightmare on Elm Street is, can you separate the importance of this movie with the actual movie itself? Because this movie, first of all, was highly influential and created arguably the greatest horror villain of all time, the most iconic, really, because he was everywhere after this. Spawned 9 sequels. Freddy Krueger became like the MTV of horror villains, where he's everywhere. This movie resurrected the slasher genre too. It gave it the supernatural twist in '84 after they had beaten it with a dead horse. From Friday the 13th to this movie, they had done way too many stupid knockoffs, but this movie reinvented that genre. Wes Craven went on to still continue his legendary career after making this movie. Like, he's been doing classics for like 5 decades, or he had at that time. Now, the movie itself, like, sometimes the importance of this movie overshadows the actual film and what happened. Because I do think this movie suffers from the middle of the movie suffers from pacing issues and a bit like disconnected. I think this movie has a great first like 20 minutes and a great climax. That first kill, our main character's friend, Tina, I think her name is, the blonde, like, that kill is iconic in horror in any movie. He literally created a room like upside down and flipped her up and had her getting slashed on the ceiling. That's to me, it's hard to top that. Freddy Krueger too, as a villain, what a concept. Like, Wes Craven thought of that idea when he was having nightmares, and the idea of getting killed, you get killed in your dreams, you die in real life, is amazing. Very original movie, honestly, this movie. And Freddy Krueger is actually at his scariest in this movie, if you can believe it or not. He only gets more comedic after each movie and starts throwing away one-liners like a freaking like a carnival like operator, like, just like, hey, blah, blah, blah. He's a little scary in this. You also have Johnny Depp's first movie ever. He's the friend. He's got a cool death. Cool, like, subjectively cool. I think it's cool, but it's a little absurd.
Didn't even
objectively,
recognize him. Didn't even know that was him.
Yeah, she's super young in the movie. It is cheesy, this movie, though. And again, pacing issues in the middle. Like, it's not a mile a minute scares and thrills. Like, there's definitely some maybe slowness, honestly. The ending, too, there's a lot of stuff where if you look at logic in this movie, you won't find any. Because there's a scene where not Tina, our main character, I forget her name.
Nancy.
She said, say it again.
Nancy,
thank you. I should know that. She sets up like booby traps in her house in like under 20 minutes, and they're pretty elaborate. And you're like, there's no freaking way. But then you put the whole, is this happening? Is it not type thing? I don't know. But Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger went on to play him like 8 more times. Amazing to me. Like, I love Freddy Krueger. He's great in this. You know, the glove, the knife glove, the hat, the shirt. He is scary in this. The music I do really like too, like those notes, like do, 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 like really cool to me. When you rewatch it, Eric, you'll appreciate. You'll be comforted more by it, and you'll be like, all right, this is just cheesy, good 80s horror film. Again, its importance overshadows, I think, how good the movie actually is. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that whenever I get to watching Halloween, which is not the movie I watched last, like, I hope that lives up to the hype where it doesn't.
No, it's hard the first time.
Okay.
Because of the hype.
Okay. Anyways.
And I think you'll enjoy Halloween a hell of a lot more, though, than Nightmare on Elm Street.
What I was gonna say, though, is you're saying they made 8 other movies. Like, is one of them a prequel with the mom as the young protagonist? They must have done that. No?
Never.
That's for sure gonna be done by somebody. Like, I might write that movie. Let's do it. Easy Conversations. Matt and Eric get in the writer's room. I can't believe that has never been done.
Yeah. No, never. There's never been a prequel, really. Just flashbacks in some of the movies about a young Freddy and stuff, but no, never been done.
Okay. Well, it's an opportunity for anybody listening.
But if anything, Eric, it's still. I'm glad you watched it. It is a horror classic, and it influenced so many others. And is a lot of horror directors now favorite. It's Jordan Peele's favorite horror movie. I know that for sure. He loves this movie. He always talks about it, saying Freddy Krueger is the greatest horror villain of all time. So it's definitely inspiring to a lot of people. You got one more, Eric?
Do you want me to rip it, or do you have another movie to share?
No, I'll do one last one here. Okay. We'll end with the Stephen King again. Ooh. This is The Long Walk that just came out. Very, very enjoyable movie in my opinion. So The Long Walk, quickly, dystopian America, where everything's gone to shit kind of, but we don't really get into that too much. All we get into is that every year each state sends a representative, but doesn't send one. You win it through the lottery, and a lot of people want to participate in the event called The Long Walk. 50 guys, 50 participants, all male. And if you win riches. Like, you're rich. It's like the lottery, like I said. So The Long Walk is, as soon as they say go, you start walking down this road, and you have to keep a pace of 3 miles per hour. And if you stop walking, and you get 3 warnings, by the way, if you stumble, you have three warnings, and they last 10 seconds. Anyways, if you surpass these warnings and you stop, you get shot and killed. And their characters are fully aware of this at the beginning. Like, they're aware of this. It's not a shock that you get eliminated, you're dead. So it starts off with 50, and slowly after 8, 16, 20 hours of walking at that brisk pace, stuff starts happening and people get picked off. We're following their main characters. The main guy is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. Forget his name now, but he's great in it. Everyone has their reasons why they want to win and what they're going to do with the money. But the whole movie is dialogue and them on the road walking. So it's kind of cool. It was enjoyable because the dialogue was great, and you're getting different characters and what you would do in this situation. Like, each character represents a member of society, how people react to things. You got the asshole bully, you got the more stoic character, you get the one that's more practical and pragmatic, using hey, don't use too much energy doing this, looking at it more like a scientific level of smarts. Our main character is more emotional, and he's doing it for other reasons that you find out later. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but the whole movie is walking, and guys getting picked off and little events along the way that happen that keep you always engaged and interested. But anyways, The Long Walk, what a concept. You know, walk until there's one left really that wins it all. So there's some emotional scenes for sure, Eric. This movie hit me in a couple spots where I was like, damn, like you should check it out, The Long Walk. By the end of the year, I mean, I really, really enjoyed it.
I do want to check it out. I've actually, based on the trailer, I remember thinking like this looks stupid. Like I didn't see the value in watching this, but you can imagine where, and this again, I guess, will be fuel for the people who say that Lord of the Rings movies is just a long walk, which is the dumbest take of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
this kind of has like that vibe of like walking from the Shire to Mordor, and also a Hunger Games element to it. And you can imagine where you're taking a bunch of strangers who all have the same goal in mind, and at the end of the day, like they want to be the ones who win, but they probably along the way realize like, all right, like I kind of became boys with this guy. Like I don't want to see him die just so I can win. So I'm sure there's some tough moments, kind of like Squid Game kind of vibes too. So I know the actor. One of the actors is in Alien Romulus too, I believe. Like he's someone who got praised as well, and he's like kind of on the rise. So I don't know his name, but
thank you.
I
totally missed that. He's amazing in it, Eric.
Yeah,
I totally missed that. I know exactly who you're talking about. The android in Romulus.
Yes, his name is David Johnson. Is the name of the actor.
Amazing.
So, and it's Cooper.
Yeah, he was
Hoffman.
amazing.
Cooper Hoffman is the name of Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So
thanks for looking that up, Eric. Yeah,
no problem. No, I definitely want to watch this, on the list for sure. That's gonna be one I'll be checking out, no doubt. Last movie for me, it's one that I went into. First 20 minutes again, I'm thinking to myself like, all right, this is for sure a textbook example of this director who I've now seen all of his movies, is a style over substance guy. I've enjoyed some of his movies a lot. Some I kind of want to rewatch because I'm unsure about how I left walking away from them. This one was his first movie, and one that I was definitely like all in on once the movie was done, and kept thinking about, kind of like I did with his most recent movie that came out last year, where after the movie I just kept thinking about it and it became better and better in my head. Which, do you know what I'm talking about, or?
No.
Okay. So this would be the debut of an actress we both are a fan of, Anya Taylor-Joy, starring in The Witch from Robert Eggers. So I'm a big fan of this movie, honestly. Like I said, at the start, I was like, all right, this is kind of slow. Kind of like me introducing the movie. It took way too long. It's about a family who, in the 1600s, relocates from a town somewhere in England. Like they're living in like Puritan England times. They're like, the dialogue in this movie is out of control. If you're trying to watch this without subtitles, you're braver than me, because, or maybe quite stupider, because you won't understand a goddamn word these people are saying. But really good movie where they've relocated after being banished from their town on this settlement. They build a farm, and then some kind of crazy stuff starts to happen. So it's the father, who's played by Ralph Ineson. So he's a guy that you've seen in a bunch of stuff in minor roles, but most recently he played Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie. His wife, who is actually Catelyn Stark's sister in Game of Thrones, she's his wife. And then Anya Taylor-Joy is their oldest daughter. They have a few other kids as well. And there's a witch that lives in the woods, and there's a possession element going on. A lot of bad stuff starts to happen to the family, and where things develop, I did not see it coming, especially the ending. You don't really want to spoil the ending, unless we do, and then people just maybe skip a minute or so, but not the ending I was expecting at all. And that is another reason why I enjoyed it so much, where I had in my mind where I'm like, all right, there's no one left here, like it's gonna be 1v1, get the twins back kind of thing, but it was not that, which I liked a lot. Like, I like when things aren't your clear cut, bad person dies, good person prevails. This was not that. And Anya Taylor-Joy, fantastic. Can't believe this is her first movie ever. She had another role in a movie where she was uncredited, so that doesn't even count. That's like me when I make my film debut. On the count of three, The Exchange and Deadly Divorce Party don't count in my IMDb criteria. But anyways, so no, she was so good in this, and creepy. Like, this was a scary movie. had me on
Yeah.
the edge of my seat the whole time. There, it opens up with some pretty disgusting stuff, like with the baby. Thankfully, you don't see all of that, but like just talk about setting the tone for like what to expect in this movie. Really gnarly stuff. Yeah, no, the element of mystery, folklore, fantasy, satanic aspect, really good stuff. So yeah, The Witch. You've already talked about this movie a few times on the pod, I want to say, Matt, and it definitely lived up to the hype. Just kept getting better for me as the movie went along. So big fan.
I love that you're a big fan, Eric. I loved everything you said, honestly. Beautifully said. Promising start to a career, for Robert Eggers and Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know what to add. Honestly, this is what I'll add. You spoke. The first movie you did was The Shining, and now The Witch. To close it, this movie shares a lot of similarities with the cinematography, and honestly, Eggers is definitely inspired by Kubrick's shooting of the shots in The Shining. There's a lot of like still shots and zooms, and really, this movie's beautifully filmed. Basically, is what I'm saying. Just like The Shining, and definitely inspired by it. Great performances. Yes, this movie you'll be lost without subtitles. I know everyone who went to the theater to see it loved it more on rewatch when they were able to do the subtitles. You kind of see the times, like how important religion was, and how frowned upon. Like they're kind of family gets outcasted, gets ousted from the village in this because of religious beliefs and like the stubbornness of the dad. They go into that very briefly.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where just like the whole baby thing is very disturbing, like you said, and like how it goes missing, and it's like, what the hell happened? And this movie's all about what's not shown and what you're thinking of what's happening too. Like less is more, basically. And yes, the ending is very like not what you think. But honestly, the more you're going to rewatch The Witch over the coming years and decades, you're gonna love it even more.
Nice.
As was the case with me. So yeah, no, like Anya Taylor-Joy, freaking great. I can't wait to see her whole career unfold, and this is a terrific start for her. So did I bring this movie up on my first appearance on Eazy Conversations? Possibly, right?
Probably, yeah. Should re-listen to that
something
episode.
I would talk about. Yeah, and I just looked at a picture, like the Instagram picture from that episode, and how different I look, and I was like, showing Mackenzie, I was like, oh my god, that was like a lifetime ago, right?
Yeah,
I was very looked like string bean city with a small goatee. I was like, I didn't even recognize myself. That was a good time.
2018,
yeah.
Yep.
2018 spring, yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, you weren't chopping wood like young Ralph Innocent back then. That's for sure.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I actually thought of you when they kept showing him chopping the wood. I'm like, this is what Matt does out there. Like, you talked about it on one of our episodes. And,
less furiously than him.
Yeah,
but,
I hope so.
There's also the goat, right? Black Phillip. Like,
I was gonna bring him up, my guy, Black Phillip. That was creepy as hell when he started yapping.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And like,
yeah.
The folklore is heavy in this movie, and it's great. You know, they're talking about witches, familiars, and like the whole witchcraft and folklore. It's amazing.
Yep. And yeah, Robert Eggers, all of his movies, in a sense, touch on some sort of folklore element, right? Like The Northman, there's a lot of that, like kind of religious element or Norse religion in there, and then. The Lighthouse, I need to rewatch The Lighthouse because I remember being very unsure about it when I saw it, but I want to check it out again. And Nosferatu, I want to rewatch. So I'm super pumped for his next movie, Werewolf, actually. So hopefully that can be the next great werewolf transformation scene we see on the screen. So that's coming out at the end of next year, 2026. I'm very excited for a lot of the movies coming out next year, and Werewolf is going to be a nice December edition for us to talk about.
Absolutely.
In 2027, but yeah. No, Witch, so good. Anya Taylor-Joy, she looks so young in that movie too. She looks like a little kid. She's like 18.
It's true.
Yeah.
She's changed a lot since then. Yeah. She's maturing into like just a brilliant actress.
Yeah.
I don't have any more movies to talk about. I watched a couple other ones, but they're not even worth discussing. I guess I'll just
I'll just end it by saying I did rewatch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've logged it the last like 4 Octobers. Like,
Nice.
it's one of my favorite movies. It's all I'll say is it's the movie that I'll show to an alien if he comes to Earth and he says, "What's a horror movie? Give me an example." Texas Chainsaw Massacre fits that bill perfectly. It's pure terror, not an ounce of laughter, and pure terror. Basically, it's what defines the genre. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original '74. I rewatched it. Friggin' love it.
Yeah, actually, that's a good call. To put you on the spot here, alien comes down to Earth. They're like, all right, that was great. Give me 4 others now. Like, I want 5 horror movies. What would you say are like your 5 maybe favorite horror movies, or just like must sees for people? I'll do the same. I'll get a little list going here.
You want like objectively or subjectively?
Subjectively.
Like,
we don't do objective on here.
Okay. Subjectively, I'd be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Shining, Halloween, The Thing, and then the 4th is always a toss-up. But honestly, I'm gonna throw out Night of the Living Dead. George A. Romero. It invented the zombie. He invented the slow eating, the slow walking, corpse eating, like flesh eating zombie. Night of the Living Dead inspired 1,000 other movies afterwards from 1967. So Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, The Shining, Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay,
what about you, Eric?
So I've only seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre once, but that actually scared me, and I saw it as an adult. Scary movie. I don't know if I could put up there in terms of like it's my favorite. I'd have to see it again, but for ones I've just seen, like Shining, I'd put up there for sure. Get Out, Alien's scary. Silence of the Lambs, I'm counting it as a horror movie, and then maybe go Jaws. It'd be Jaws or Texas Chainsaw, even though I've only seen Texas once. Like, that's probably the scariest movie I've seen. So if an alien came down, I would say Jaws, actually. I'll go with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good pick. Yeah.
That would be mine.
It's like the ultimate creature feature, right? It inspired a million movies. Like all these creature attack movies. Yeah.
Nice.
Good pick.
All right. Well, no, that was fun. I mean, I feel like I'm getting more and more horror lore under my belt as we do more of these episodes. It was a lot of fun. Like, I've enjoyed watching these horror movies in the month of October. Probably got a few more in me. Weapons, actually, is one that I did want to watch before doing this episode, but got a little busy. It's on Crave now, so I'll be checking it out shortly. So that's on my list, and maybe like 1 or 2 more. But then, yeah, when November hits, it's Harry Potter. I'm enjoying doing a lot of reruns right now. I'm also watching the Dark Knight trilogy right now, which I feel like is very fitting for the fall. Batman Begins, so underrated in my opinion. Dark Knight holds up. Don't need to get into it too much. I'm excited to watch Dark Knight Rises now because that's one that I have not seen in years. And in my mind, I have it like as overrated. So I'm curious to see what I think about it on. It'll be like my 3rd time seeing it, I think. So I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. Definitely the weakest link, I think, of the 3. Like, you already kind of know that, I think. But maybe it'll be better than Batman Begins. I don't know, this rewatch. Yeah. A movie's only as good as its last rewatch, right? As its last watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Loving the Harry Potter thing, though, that you do every year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, honestly,
I'm going through,
I feel like after this year, I'm going to have to take a break, and I can't do the same marathon next year because I don't want to get sick of them, which I've seen them so many times. I don't think that would happen, but I also, like, I'm skipping Lord of the Rings this year, so I feel like next year do Lord of the Rings and don't do Harry Potter, one of those two, so, yeah.
You only have so much spare time, right? So
exactly. Do you have anything you want to recommend, Matt? I got a few things, not movie related.
Just a couple TV shows. Finished Dexter Resurrection. It was great. It was cool. It involved other serial killers in the show, like Dexter meeting other serial killers, and Peter Dinklage was a highlight. He was great in it, and he's more like the antagonist in the season, and he's great. That's all I'll say.
Okay, nice.
And I'll let you go ahead, Eric, and then I'll say my last show after.
Okay, so I'll recommend an album that actually came out yesterday called "The Boy Who Played the Harp" by a rapper called Dave, who I actually forgot to mention him in my concerts I've been to. That was an iconic one I went to in 2022 with my cousin Dan. Great times. sick show. So Dave has now dropped 3 albums. His first one was incredible. The second one was really, really good. And then this third one, which I've only heard one time, but I think it's an amazing album on first listen for sure, where he's a very introspective artist, a great storyteller, super lyrical. If you're listening to this for maybe some catchy tunes, you may be left a little disappointed. Where on his other albums, he had a few, I'd say, catchier songs. This one didn't really have any off the first listen, but it's the subject matter and the content in his songs that are so impressive that you kind of have to listen to this album. I think it's truly amazing stuff. His storytelling, second to very few. And it's a very impressive album. The Boy Who Played the Harp, must listen. I'm looking forward to re-listening and really dissecting the stuff he's talking about on here. It's impressive stuff and relevant to what goes on in society today. Like, a lot of rappers kind of dip their toes on it, but don't make a stance against things that are objectively wrong, in my opinion, and Dave is not shy to do so. And as someone who's 27 years old, like, it's really impressive to hear him rap about the stuff he is rapping about the way he does, to where it's not like you're listening to someone give a seminar here. Like, it's still, he's got a great flow, the beats are good, it's good stuff. Boy Who Played the Harp by Dave, check it out.
Awesome. I wasn't expecting a Dave album. You turned me on to his first album, right? Psychodrama.
Yep.
I believe that was phenomenal, and I don't remember. I remember listening to his second album, but not like I can't recall it as much as the first.
Yeah.
But I will definitely add it to the list. I'll download it right after we get off and add it to my list. I've enjoyed the hip hop journey this year, honestly. This is my best year for cataloging everything, writing it down, and not forgetting, and writing my thoughts down on each one. And then I'm going to prep like a little playoff run at the end where I'll do all my re-listens and then rank them. So definitely my best year for that to date. And it's been enjoyable. Like just the other day at work, like this guy, like, there's no good rap music nowadays. It's all garbage. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never deep dived. You just listen to the stuff on the radio. You have no idea the great rap that's come out this year. I named all these older artists that have dropped new albums this year. And he's like, oh, I didn't know about that. No shit, because you don't do any research and you just going off opinion on the Facebook comments. You know what I'm saying? So
NPC opinion right there.
Right? Exactly. Anyways, rant over. The last show I watched, well, I'm one episode left, but like I'm really enjoying it. But it's not for everyone. It's on Netflix, Black Rabbit with Jude Law and Jason Bateman.
Okay.
8 episodes. They're about an hour long. Honestly, if you don't like the first episode, don't keep watching. But it starts off with like right away you're thrown into a hold-up robbery in a restaurant, and then the show revolves around this robbery with flashbacks and then the aftermath. And it's all about the restaurant industry and kind of like ties into criminal activities. This show's anchored by Jason Bateman's performance. He's playing against type. He is funny, as he always is, the way he delivers lines, but he's very sketchy, sneaky, scuzzy, and like a compulsive liar and rough life. Whereas his brother in the show, Jude Law, is the restaurant owner, and like he's trying to like distance himself from his brother. But like people say in the show, your brother is your weakness. You keep like catering to him and helping him out and doing things for him, but it's fucking you over in the end. So Black Rabbit is like a crime thriller drama, really enjoyable. I mean, I'm loving it. But definitely, if you find the first episode jarring and bad vibes, like, don't continue, because the whole show is that mood. I'm really enjoying Black Rabbit, honestly. 1 episode left. It's one of those Netflix limited series where it's not going to be as great as Beef from a couple of years ago. That was great. But it's kind of it could be considered a hidden gem where it's going to come and go, but there's definitely appeal to it. Black Rabbit on Netflix. I recommend it.
Okay, nice. And I like to hear Jason Bateman kind of act against type, where he's normally that kind of witty, smart-ass, sarcastic guy. Doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of that in there. Maybe that is a coping or defense mechanism that he employs still. You know, he's got to go back to his usual tricks, but It does sound like a kind of also like a Hell or High Water Two Brothers vibe, like the Chris Pine Ben Foster dynamic. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, no, I always like a good brother storyline where there is the maybe weaker link, but you kind of always have to have a soft spot for him. Is your brother at the end of the day one of the true only people you can rely on when things go poorly? So no, that I've seen that promote on Netflix. I'll have to check it out. There's a few of these Netflix shows I gotta get to. In the past few years, they've been on your top 10s, and I've had the excuse of not having Netflix include them, but now I don't have that anymore, so I will get on that, no doubt. So, and I like both actors, so it sounds like a good match made in heaven there for sure. TV shows for me, slacking a little bit, mostly been on the movie grind these days. There's a show called Task on HBO I do want to get to with Mark Ruffalo. Apparently that's pretty good. It's done airing now. And actually, on the horror movie vibe, the It Welcome to Derry show is dropping tomorrow at the time of recording. So yesterday when this is dropped. So yeah, maybe check that out. Preemptive recommendation. Hopefully that's good. Andy Muschietti, I believe, is the showrunner there. So, but what I want to recommend is this book. I've just a few pages left. It's called Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel. So it's a Star Wars book written by Lamar Gills, and as the title implies, following our Bad Batch characters whom you all know as Clone Force 99 from the Clone Wars show or the Bad Batch show. So yeah, it's basically a storyline that occurs in between a series of episodes in season 2 of Bad Batch. So when they end up on this Pabu planet, which is kind of like their new stronghold, basically they lay down some roots in Pabu at some point in season 2, and this occurs like in between a few of those episodes. And yeah, it's been really fun just to see the Bad Batch characters who we have grown to love go on another mission to get resources for their planet, who is just coming off being hit from a tsunami. I don't know if you remember this, Matt, there, but there's a big tsunami that happens, so they need to go get some resources for them. And then the story divulges into more misadventures, new characters introduced. You also have chapters from the point of view of an ISB officer who's trying to acquiesce an ally of the Bad Batch. Like, he's kind of after someone else who aligns herself with the Bad Batch, and then everyone kind of just gets tangled up together. There's heists in there. Like, it's just good stuff, honestly. There is no, like I said, I have 30 pages left so far, no Crosshair. He is not in the novel, but you follow the rest of the squad minus Echo. So it's basically Tech, Hunter, Wrecker, Omega, and Fee, who's the pirate who is in a lot of the Bad Batch episodes. Yeah, no, it's been really good. I like just spending time with these characters. Star Wars novels have been kind of my thing this year with the Thrawn books I've read, and just getting more knowledge on the lore is always fun. So yeah, Sanctuary, a Bad Batch novel, would recommend. Very easy read.
That's an awesome recommendation. I've read old Star Wars books. This book interests me because I've read old books about following clone troopers. This is like more Clone Wars novels. You're following clones right before Order 66, and it was super enjoyable. That whole world of more ground level stuff, and not with Jedi and Sith, but more like the regular soldiers. So I enjoyed that point of view. So, and I love these characters, right? I'm a big fan of the show, so that's a good blend right there. And it doesn't look like a big brick of a book either. So if I see it at the library, that's what I'm going to start doing, by the way, next year.
Let's go.
I'm reading a book right now I got for Christmas last year, but after that, I'm gonna stop buying books. Why hoard them on a shelf, right, when I can just bring them back to the library? But I'll add that to the list for sure, Eric.
Like, it's good if you want to borrow books to people, but I feel like just library one and done is the way to go here. Save a bit of money to take advantage of the resources you have. I don't know if I've said this already, but apparently if there is a book that you want to read and they don't have at the library, you can request that they order it for you. So basically, don't be discouraged if there is a book you want that they don't have. You can just submit a request and they will order it. I'm pretty sure anyway. So I haven't done it myself, but I've heard through the grapevine of fellow librarians and patrons of the esteemed estate. So yeah, that'd be it really that I have to recommend. I've been listening to a lot of music lately. I was talking to Brandon this morning actually just about hip hop albums and excited to do the top 10. I was telling him I've got a solid 1, 2, 3 locked in place right now. 4 through 10 is like a mishmash of albums, but yeah, no, 1, 2, and 3 are gonna be hard to move in my opinion. I'm excited to see what else is to come out this year, and if there's gonna be any disturbances in the force amongst the top 3, but I foresee difficulty breaking through that barrier.
This honestly the year that's gonna be the hardest to make a top 10. I think this has been my most enjoyable hip hop journey this year so far. I think just because of all the strong contenders and that my list I think will be surprising to you, Eric, and I think you'll be happy with my list. Is what I'm trying to say. Nice. So it'll be a great show. Honestly, I'm looking for the 3 top 10 shows a lot. The TV one maybe the most actually.
Yeah.
This has been a great TV year for me. Movie wise, always picks up at the end of the year, but TV's been solid so far this year for me.
Movies, I feel like I've said it already a few pods ago, but it's just been weak sauce. I'm gonna hold out hope on more stuff coming out, but yeah, those other 2 more interesting to me right now, but that could easily change. Yeah,
there's no Dune 2 or Oppenheimer yet, right? Like there's no
Godzilla -1. I know what you're saying, Matt. No substance, right? So I wonder.
Right? No, there hasn't been.
Interesting to see on if we were to redo our list, would we still have the same movies at the same ranking? I kind of do that on Letterboxd. I'm gonna do it for 2024. Kind of a year later, I just dropped my top 24, my top movies of last year in order, all of them, and see where there's movement. Like Oppenheimer's gone up for me in 2023. Others have gone down. So it's fun to do. But yeah, we'll see. Dune's for sure number 1 still there, but that's for me. Anyways,
it'd be fun to look at, for sure. A retro top 10 where you're like, this would change. Yeah, that'd be cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
That's it for me too, Eric.
Sounds good. But no, a lot of fun, Matt, going over these movies with you. Hopefully we gave you all some recommendations. We didn't get too spoiler-centric for these movies there, but so let us know if you check any of these movies out. Matt, any final notes for the listeners?
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about horror movies. Probably one of my most favorite things to talk about ever. Could go on and on. Eric, you did a great job of describing these classics and then your first-time watches on some of it. It was I loved hearing what you said. And everybody, I hope you enjoy your Halloween on Friday. And, thank you for listening to our podcast. I really appreciate it.
Well said, Matt. So yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Yeah, happy Halloween. For the love of God, hopefully you're not having to give out Snickers bar the size of this nugget, and feed the kids, make sure they have a good time, and